I don't buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs because that would make me an outsider. If you don't want a job, good. If you don't need a paycheck, good. If you don't need the stock market, good. You're free. I don't chase gold. I don't chase silver. Try and catch me. I don't buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs because that would make me an outsider. I always want to be inside on the deal. So one of my friends is another Marine pilot. He's first round investor in Facebook, Uber, and Bitcoin. He was buying Bitcoin at 3 cents a unit. And he was already rich before that. So what you're doing is, it takes time to learn. It takes time to learn to be a pro golfer. It takes time to learn to be a pro football player. It takes time, anything. But it's what are you doing with the time? So as you keep pushing your brain and thinking and making mistakes, learning, talking to different people, you're pushing your brain. So my goal was, when I was about your age, was to start a brand. A brand is the most powerful force in business. You look at Apple, what is Apple worth? What is Microsoft worth? What is Amazon worth? What is Uber worth? It's a brand. When you get old guys like Warren Buffett, he only buys brands. S stands, I'm a specialist. What that means is, like a doctor is a specialist. So I go see a doctor, he or she is a specialist. They pay the highest taxes. So the smart students pay the highest taxes, but they'll never tell you that. The reason real estate is important is, for me to get to zero, I have to have real estate. So it was just part of an educational process I went through. So when I came back from Vietnam in '73, immediately I signed up for a real estate course so I could learn how to buy real estate for no money down. And once I could do that, I was free. But all I'm saying is that it's education and teachers and what you look for. Most of your generation is still looking for that high-paying job with Goldman Sachs, or they want to go back to school, become a doctor or a real estate agent or something like that. That's fine. It's a different choice. This is a different journey. It's going to take time. But if you really want to understand this quadrant, a big part of it is real estate, because real estate is tax-free. I'm not against stocks or bonds. I took stock option trading for 3 years. I'm not math. I'm not good. My brain doesn't work that way. I'm a real estate guy. I'm slow. So you got to find out what works for you. But the beauty of real estate is you use debt. $30 million property, I borrow $30 million here. But that takes time to do, and it takes partners. It takes very smart guys. It takes accountants, attorneys. It takes a whole team to get you. But you're on your way. Do you know what I mean? Very few people can say, well, I was born that way, unless you're Trump's kids. And they're pretty smart kids, and they're good kids. But they were born into it. You and I were not. So we had to learn more than they did. They started at a higher level of financial education. The same as Bitcoin. I stopped buying at 9. And now I wish I had bought more. It was my price. There's another guy called Marin Katusa. He's Katusa Research. He's worth listening to. Same as George Gammon and Anthony Pompliano. Those guys are really, really good in their fields. But Marin Katusa talks about, I think he calls it the alligator. And the alligator is this prehistoric beast who can control its own metabolism. And you and I are kind of alligators. We can sit there, wait, time it, and then when you bite, you bite. But you have to know when to bite. So you wait. It's called patience. But you have to know where it's going. So like Jim Records and I are writing another book together. Our first book together is called The Ravens. And he says he doesn't worry about the price of gold because he knows where it's going. I don't worry about the price of silver because I know where it's going. But it goes up and it comes down. It goes, that's the natural circadian rhythms of the universe going up and down. So as it goes up, it's going to come down. So Bitcoin, I started buying at 9 because it just sounded, it was just the time to bite. Now I wish I'd put more, but I didn't. I wish I had bought it at 3 cents like my friend did, but I didn't, you know what I mean? So I can live in the past. But the point here is that that's what you learn with time. It takes time to learn when to bite as an alligator and when not to. Or you can be somebody who just sits on the sideline and criticizes the rich, which most of these guys are doing. I'm working with Marin Katusa. We're coming out with a documentary. And my real teacher was a guy named Buckminster Fuller. They call him the world's friendly genius. He did the geodesic dome and all this, but he was a futurist. But he said exactly what the Green New Deal is saying. If you get this, we're not, the Green New Deal, the socialists are going to print trillions of dollars and give the money to green energy. It's already started. So the sad thing about it is the socialists won't get any of it because they're socialists. But the capitalists are going, the government's handing out money. Thank you very much. So the capitalists will get rich again because it's all going Green New Deal. So you look at solar energy and all that, that's going through the roof right now. So Green New Deal is the new future. Now, the communists who are against capitalists, they won't even know what's happening because they don't watch those capital markets. So there's always an opportunity, but the guys are getting screwed are old guys like me because they're in oil. Do you realize Exxon right now, they had to borrow money to pay a dividend? If you have any idea what that means, you've got to find the guys who are going where you want to go in thought. None of us knows everything. None of us. It's impossible. But you've got to find the thought leaders. So, I've been a friend of Marin and I started off in the same business. I took a gold company public in China through the Toronto Stock Exchange. I took a silver company from Argentina public through the Toronto Stock Exchange. So Marin and I hung out in Vancouver. He's a lot younger than me, but he's a calculus teacher. The guy's very smart, but he understands the resource industry. And I was talking to him the other day. He says, it's going green. Everything is going green. So the socialists will be right. And they have to. We have to stop this climate change and all. I don't know whether it's true or not. But the fires in California and the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all that, somebody's got to do something. So oil companies are getting screwed. So all those guys who invest in Exxon for dividends, what they do not know is Exxon had to borrow money to pay the dividend. I don't care if you're a socialist or a communist and all this. The question is, what good are you doing for society? That's the question. You can criticize anybody you like, but it's what good are you doing? And that's my whole life. I just, like you, I just never wanted a job. My wife, Kim, never wanted a job. When I met her, my wife, Kim, was in network marketing just because she wanted to get out of her job so bad. She was willing to do anything. And then she became an expert in network marketing and real estate. But you have to want to get out of where you're at. And most of these guys are trying to hope to go back to school to get a job when there's other people who are trying to get out of the job. So that's a difference in mindset. One's not right or wrong. But for all the trolls that criticize and will say, well, you guys are just greedy bastards, I say, well, just how much are you going to give when you die? How many jobs have you created? Question. You know what I mean? Those are valid questions. So I think that's how we measure our own individual lives. We're all different. We're all different values. You know what I mean? There will always be people who want jobs. People want to be the smartest guy, the specialist. If you want it done right, do it by yourself. There'll always be the person who wants, okay, now how can I make a brand so big? Just see if I could do it. And I did it. And then who wants to be the inside of every deal? So the reason I talk to like Marin and Anthony Pompliano and George Gammon and even Peter Schiff's a friend of mine, as crazy as he is. But I listen to everybody. I don't have to agree with everybody, but I need to listen to everybody. People I respect anyway. If you don't want a job, good. If you don't need a paycheck, good. If you don't need a stock market, good. You're free. You can go anywhere in the world you want, but it's all up here anyway, same as Bitcoin. So I stopped buying Bitcoin at 9. If it goes back to 9, I'm buying more, but I don't buy it because I'm chasing it. I don't chase gold, I don't chase silver. So when it hits a peak, it always comes back down. So be an alligator, just wait and then bask in the sun and bite when you have to bite. I say to all the young people, if you went to school, they shut your mind down. They told you you needed a job and you need to pay taxes, you need to save money and give your money to Wall Street. You don't have to do that anymore. When that cell phone, when Steve Jobs invented the iPhone, which I think he did, who knows, he set us all free. All you need is a cell phone in your brain and you can go anywhere. But the first thing I did about 20 years ago is I moved all my gold and silver out of this country. But that goes back to a book that was published in 1957, was written by Ayn Rand. It's called Atlas Shrugged. And what she talked about there was when the socialists take over the economy, which they have, the capitalists go into hiding. So one of the things I write about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is how guys like me are in hiding in plain sight. Try and catch me.